Today in the BarBend office, we are honored to have powerlifter and man about town, New York strength icon, Kevin Oak. Kevin, thanks so much for joining us today.
What's up, guys?
So you mentioned, I got to start off, you mentioned right before we started recording that you're feeling skinny these days and you're down 15 pounds. Was that intentional or unintentional?
Intentional, but not really. Did not intend to lose it that quick. But I'm dropping a weight class for my next comp. I want to try to go after like the 220 squat record. So I got to get under 240 basically, which I am already. But I was like sick all last week, so that weight came off a little quicker than expected.
Do you fluctuate? Does your weight in training, like when you're not necessarily in competition prep, do you naturally fluctuate a lot?
Yeah, I usually come down. So at my last meet when I competed at 242, I was walking around at like 250 to 255-ish mostly. But I have to like eat up to that weight. So outside of that, then I usually immediately just come right back down to like the 230s.
I was going to ask, is it harder to take on or put on weight? And at what range is it the toughest for you?
Neither are that hard. I mean, it's probably harder to put on weight for me because I just have a pretty high BMR and I'm not a big eater. So I have to really like think to eat more, whereas it's easy for me to lose weight. I just kind of eat a little less and I'm more active, just move around more, walk around more, do a little cardio. And I usually drop weight like pretty quick. So
that for all of you at home, just that's the Kevin Oak method. If you're looking to drop weight, just do a little cardio. Be one of the world's best powerlifters in multiple weight classes. It'll come off in the blink of an eye. It's super, super easy.
Small walk around town. When you were running track in college, how much did you weigh?
Like 180, 185.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm a little bigger now.
So big Kevin ate little Kevin, and that's what we get. That's what we get right now.
It's mostly in my shoulders. My legs are the same size still.
That's impressive. Your legs are not small. So I guess that makes sense for track athletes. So you're cutting down, you're going to compete at 220.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your recent performances at the weight class above that, because they are certainly noteworthy. And if you wouldn't mind giving listeners who might not be familiar a recap of, your last comp and your performance there.
Yeah, at my last competition, I did the Hybrid Performance Showdown down in Miami. I ended up pretty much doing squat only. I wanted to do full meet, but I had strained both of my bicep tendons, like where it connects to the shoulder on both sides. So I couldn't bench a lot. Did a token bench, and then I thought I would be able to deadlift, but I had like a strained IT band, and it was very iffy when I was trying to warm up for deadlift. So I was kind of like, all right, like just leave it alone. But squat went well. Broke my own world record by 22 pounds. So that was good.
What'd you end up squatting?
860 in knee sleeves, not knee wraps. So raw at 242.
And was that, had you gone heavier than that in training, or was that just like a lifetime PR in any fashion?
No, that's a lifetime PR by a lot. The 848 that I did before it was a lifetime PR by a lot. Before that, the heaviest ever squat was the 838 I did at my last meet, which was a lifetime PR. So, yeah, I don't usually go that heavy on squats in training. I just don't really get much out of it. I'm more of I'd rather hit like a heavy triple, heavy 4-rep, 5-rep. That I get more out of that. And I don't have that issue of, on squats at least, where I can't go from like doing lighter weight to heavier weight. Like, I usually don't have an issue maxing out on squats, so I don't really worry about like hitting that top weight in training.
Yeah, so now correct me if I'm wrong. So the third attempt actually broke the world record. You pushed it even further on the fourth attempt, right?
Yeah, so I planned on going, I was targeting like somewhere in the 850s, right? So originally I was going to go 854 on my third, but I was like, let me hit 848 because I hit 826 or something on my second just to like be warmed up enough for it. So I was like, let me see how 848 feels, and then I'll know how much I have left for like a fourth attempt. So I smoked 848. I probably actually had like 870 in me, but you don't have that much time. If you take a fourth, you have to take like right after all of the third attempts. and I was already tired from doing 848. So I was like, let me hit like 860, another like 12 pounds, and
I was going
go from
to
there.
say it was insane how easy it looked. But also, I want to ask you a question. So you break the world record on the third. You're heading into your fourth attempt. What's going through your head, man? Like because I can't even comprehend that weight, and you've already have the world record. What's going in your head to the fourth attempt? Was it about fun? Was it about pushing your limits? What was there?
I was honestly just trying to get my energy back as quick as I could. I was like, if I have enough, I was like, if I get into the bar, recovered enough from like that 848, I'll hit it. Like I knew based on how the 848 moved, I was like, I'm probably good for like 870. But I was like, I don't really have enough time to like, so I'm like, just get enough back to hit 860, hit the 860 like nice and clean, no questions, you know what I mean? And next time I'll plan my attempts like, accordingly to set up for like 870, 880 probably.
And it's worth noting for most people, even if you're listening to this podcast and you've competed in strength sports before, powerlifting especially, even having a fourth attempt is so rare and signifies that you're at that level. For people who might not be familiar, when does that fourth attempt come in? Because it's not something you see at every powerlifting meet.
Yeah, usually in certain federations, if you're going for a world record attempt, you can take a fourth attempt as long as you also hit your third attempt.
So that is even just saying like, oh, on my fourth attempt, when someone leads with that and talking about their powerlifting performance, you're like, oh, I bet it went well.
I will never have a fourth attempt in my lifetime. But
Never know, man. Just cut to like 132.
Yeah. I'm trying to set a PR for fourth attempts witnessed. I'm just going to go to a lot of powerlifting meets and just talk about fourth attempts.
I've seen a good amount of force.
Yeah,
a good amount sprinkled throughout the years.
Well, I was gonna say you lifted big meats, bigger meats than a small fish.
I want to start a federation where it's you can take a fourth attempt if it's a gym PR. Like if it's the most it's been squatted in that weight class at that gym, and we're just gonna have we're gonna go to a lot of small CrossFit boxes and have powerlifting meets. So a lot of people will get fourth attempts. Probably still not Jake, unfortunately.
Now, see, the thing is, with fourth attempts, it's not really worth it most of the time. Like, I only did it because I knew I wasn't benching, basically.
Right.
So I didn't really care about wasting that energy. But normally, I don't do fourth attempt squats. I just try to get those 3 attempts, like, right on. Like, at the last meet, I hit 838 on the third. And I could have went for a fourth and went heavier, but I was like, I'm going for a world record total. So I'm like, don't waste your energy. You just kind of have to build your total from there. But I was kind of doing squat only, so it's like whatever, just keep going, just max out.
We've found something even rarer than taking a fourth attempt squat, and it's declining a fourth attempt squat. So even more rare than having the option is saying, you know what, I'm not going to increase that world record again today.
And speaking of world records, so what is the current world record in the 220-pound weight class, and what have you kind of squatted around there at that weight?
At 220, it's 822 for raw, no knee wraps. I did 810 like 3 years ago, and that was the last time I competed at 220.
Gotcha.
So like I know I can go, and that was low bar. I high bar most of the time. So like I know I can go heavier. So I'm just gonna try to see what I can do with a little leaner.
So are you going for just the squat record in that category, or do you want the total record in that weight category?
I'm not sure yet. Definitely I want to go after the squat. Depends how well my shoulder recovery is by then, if I can, because I haven't benched in over a month. So it's like I gotta get to a point where I can start benching again, and I don't want to rush it. Uh-huh. So like if I'm not ready, I'm not gonna force it for this meet. But if they're good to go and I can bench or whatever, then like I'll try to go for the total too.
Which lift do you lose the most on during a weight cut, or if you're dropping a weight class?
It varies. Probably bench. Bench is like an immediate loss when your body weight goes down, for sure. Like honestly, I'm gonna sound like a jerk, but I don't even like to bench when I'm under like 245 because it just feels very different, and I can tell my range of motion's like a little longer, and I just feel weak. So probably bench, but also squat. Deadlift, my deadlift will actually go up when my body weight goes down because I can just get into position easier. But yeah, it's between squat and bench. But bench, I just feel it. Like you're on the bench, you just know you're like, oh, this just sucks. Like this bar is going so far.
No, it's crazy. I feel like I am nowhere near your level, but that's always the same for me. If like a couple pounds makes a fucking huge difference on the bench. Like even this setup and how I contract and like get set up, it's just I feel off. I don't feel right and normal. Yeah. So I understand that. I don't think you're a jerk in saying that. I think a lot of people listening are probably like, yeah, my bench sucks when I lose 5, 10, 20, 30 pounds.
Yeah, but I honestly don't even like, when I'm under 240, I just don't even want to bench. I'm like, screw this. But squat too. Yeah. Squat, you definitely know. But on squat, I guess the difference is if you come in like really bloated on bench, it won't mess with you. Whereas on squat, you can feel too bloated some days and it can work against you. So bench is very just straightforward, direct relationship, like body weight up, bench press is up. Body weight down, bench presses down.
On the deadlift, you talk about getting into slightly better positions when you've dropped a little bit of weight. I know I've talked to some people in heavier weight classes that when they drop weight, they actually get a better grip on the barbell. Their hands have a little bit less fat on them. Have you noticed that as well?
Not really. I personally just haven't had the grip issue. I mean, I do in sumo actually, but I pull conventional in competition, but I've definitely seen that, especially for people when they're recomping after a big weight cut. A lot of people's hands just swell a lot. I've never had that issue, but for me, it's more so just like if my stomach is bigger, it'll usually, like my lower back will just be more sore generally. And when I'm trying to like drop my hips down into conventional, sometimes I just can't get as good a position. It's annoying. It's just hard to like just get down there. It just feels that much harder, you know?
So wait, you lift conventional in competition. I see you train sumo quite a bit. So you only cheat in training.
For the most part, although I'm trying to learn hook grip, right? Because for me, for the most part over the years, training sumo kind of builds strength better for me, whereas conventional is more of just like a display of strength. Like I can just do it for the most part, and I tend to be stronger conventional than sumo. But my last training cycle, I was able to hit like an 800 triple on sumo. So I was like, wait, like my sumo might actually be stronger than my conventional now. But I can't pull heavy sumos without straps. When I try to do over under, the bar just like flips away from me. So like I'm trying to learn hook now, but we'll see.
How's that process going? And how have you
I
been
only did one
implementing it?
session and then I got sick and I'm like, oh.
So the process. So Jake, to answer your question, the process isn't going well.
Yeah, it's not going.
I'm not saying it's causation, but hook grips once, gets sick, loses 15 pounds of body weight. Let this be a warning for everyone. No, I'm a little biased. I had a pretty significant wrist surgery a few years ago that I partially attribute to heavy hook grip deadlifts, but that's just my
I'm worrying
experience.
about that, but I'm like,
I actually think it was an old injury from something else that I just never got fixed, and then it really started getting aggravated with like heavy hook grip deadlifts. Well, heavy for me, no weight for you, basically. So like
I did notice on hook because I was having issues. I tried it like twice so far this training cycle, and I noticed that because I was trying to figure out because I can double overhand like 600, usually like 550, but the most I've done is like 6, right? But when I go to hook, it becomes like an issue, and I noticed that when you do like an overhand, your hand is like more like this, kind of, your wrist is kind of bent in. Whereas when you do hook, the line gets stretched like this way. And that's like a big issue for me. That's what I'm noticing because I just have really tight forearms.
Yeah, you feel it in the tendons and everything in your forearms.
Yeah, so it just feels completely different. And then when I try to get my lats tight, it's just extremely awkward. But I'm working on it. The other issue is because when I was sick, I kept sneezing. I sneezed so hard I freaking strained my intercostal on the left side. So I can't even deadlift right now, really. Like I could do like a slow descent squat, but if I try deadlift right now, it's going to hurt a lot. So
Kevin Oak's immune system is so strong that he got sick and pulled a muscle.
Yeah.
That's illness goals.
For all people who are wondering if you can like hurt your ribs sneezing, you can.
I think that's the biggest question we had coming into this podcast. But speaking of having trouble some bicep tendons, right? So I see you've been posting more with the Motive guys and doing a lot more like prehab and rehab work, and they've been sharing some of your stuff out too. This, as from all the years I've followed you, this is the most I've ever seen you share out with that kind of work and exercise and kind of stuff you're doing for your body. What sparked that, and what inspires doing more of that work? Are you doing more than you ever have? Are you being a little bit more in tune with things that you might not have accounted for earlier on, or what's going on there?
I mean, mainly now I'm trying to go to kin stretch. I don't know if you guys know what that is. So I'm trying to do at least one kin stretch class a week. I couldn't go last week, but I'm going to go this Sunday, and I'm just trying to go at least once a week. But just one of those things where the more meat you do as time goes by, you're getting more and more beat up. So just being able to still compete in itself becomes like almost a sport, or, you know, like just getting to the platform in one piece is hard enough in itself. So it's one of those things where as you get older, you just got to do more and more to actually be able to stay out on the field.
I have a very serious question now. So dropping down to 220, competing, hopefully setting a world record there. After that's accomplished, when will you inevitably make the change to CrossFit? That was obviously not a serious question. I've
thought of this before. I'm like, what would even happen if I tried to do like a WOD or whatever, and it would go so bad? Because I'm just like, literally, I'm like all fat twitch muscle, and I have asthma, and I have just no endurance at all. So it's just like, it would be such a disaster.
Kevin Oak will stare down nearly 900 pounds on a barbell without blinking, but you asked this man to run a mile.
Dude, I can't even do like sets of split squats, right? So
All right.
literally, I did split squats the other week, and I was like dying.
Split squats are hard. Like, split squats are hard. I don't care. Like, you can just get into like a Bulgarian split squat position with your body weight and do 10 reps on each leg, and you're going to be breathing heavy. Like, they're just tough.
That, and I'm just tight and like imbalanced, so I'm like falling all over the place. And
I was gonna say, what's the norm for you to work on when you're doing more of that like prehab and rehab work? Like, what's your where are your troublesome areas these days?
It's always the same thing: shoulders, hips, knees have gotten better. Luckily for me, I didn't have any quad tendonitis this last training cycle, and I was like stunned because I usually get that, especially towards the end. But when I didn't have any quad tendonitis, I was like, oh, like I'm gonna squat a lot. I was like, oh, I might not be able to bench, but my shoulders might not work. But
the tendonitis just migrated. Your body
pretty
took
much.
tendonitis.
It just went to my bicep tendons.
You keep there's like a set level of tendonitis you have as an elite powerlifter,
Honestly,
and it has to go somewhere. So you have
honestly,
to like balance
like
it
it's
out.
really like that. Like it's never all good, but whatever. I got some squats in.
What are some other goals that you have in your powerlifting career? I mean, you've accomplished a lot. You've accomplished more than we've talked to a lot of great powerlifters on this podcast, and you're one of the most accomplished people in the sport we've talked to. Is there anything left as far as like, hey, I want to do this, or I want to do this at this body weight?
Yeah, I really want like a 900 squat in sleeves, which I probably didn't really think would be possible until I did the 860 and it wasn't that hard. I was like, oh, you know what? Like I probably can get to 900 at some point. Like I'll need to be a little heavier probably, but I was like, I was like, even that day, I was like, I'm probably capable of 880 right now on like a perfect day. So I'm like, it's 20 more pounds. Like I'm like, oh, like, you know, it's one of those things where when you're not squatting that much yet, and you look at the number 900, you're like I'm never going to get there, like 900. But it's like a couple years ago when I did 220, when I squat 810, and that was a PR. So at that point, it's like if you're looking at 900, you're like, well, that's never going to come, right? But all of a sudden, like 3 years later, it's like, or like a year or two after that, it was like I was at 830, then like close to 840 with some left in the tank. Then I go, this means I do 860, where I feel like I can do 870, maybe even be at 880. And then it's like, oh, well, that gap is closed now. 900 isn't so far away. So I feel like I can get to 9. It's going to be hard, but I can get there. Probably as like a 275er, but.
Sick. What keeps you going with that path? Like, I feel like you keep setting these new landmarks for yourself, and you're kind of in uncharted territories in respects to your weight class. What's that why that keeps you going for this bigger number? Is it just to prove yourself wrong? Is it just to push the sport further?
I don't know. It's almost like you just keep. I don't know. You just want to keep going after it.
He's a power lifter, Jake. Man, his motivation is to power lift.
Yeah, I know, but
Simon, you don't even think of yourself as like a powerlifter or anything. You're just like, I want more. You just always want, once you get to whatever level or you get whatever accomplishment, you always want more.
Yeah.
So
what factor has your competition, and by that I mean other people you compete in 2 weight classes, other people in those 2 weight classes. There are a lot of good lifters at 220 and above. What factor does that play in pushing you? Or do they push you, or are you kind of just keeping that motivation internal?
Like, yes and no. I don't really know. It's like I'm aware of who's out there for sure. And I like seeing people hit bigger and bigger numbers and break records. But the way I've always looked at it is powerlifting isn't like a contact sport. It's like you're kind of doing your own thing. So it doesn't really, like if someone shows up tomorrow and squats like 950 and sleeves out of nowhere, it doesn't like affect me in any way. So it's hard to, it's like you have your goals and you go after them.
You'd probably be pretty impressed if someone pulled that off.
No, I would definitely be impressed. But I just mean like, it doesn't change what you're doing at all. Like if someone, you go after your numbers. If that happens to be a world record, cool. If it's not a world record, like you're still going after your numbers. So,
yeah.
Is there anyone in your weight classes or beyond? It could be on the men's side or the women's side. Anyone you look at today and they really do surprise you, like the equivalent of if someone showed up at 220 or 242 and did like a 950 pound squat and sleeves or something like that. Is there anyone where you see them doing something? Could be any weight class, could be man or woman, and it surprises you to that extent?
not really, not anymore. And mostly just because I've always known that the numbers were going to go up a lot. Mm-hmm. I feel like a couple years ago it was very, the depth was very thin, and it was a lot easier to break world records, and the talent pool just wasn't that big.
Yeah, the sport was smaller. It wasn't what it is today.
So as more people come in, I know we're just going to keep seeing more and more freaks, and we're going to see more and more like extremes of things, like especially with like sumo deadlifts and stuff like that. We're just going to see more and more people be able to pull like 1,000 and 1,000 plus. Like I've always figured that was just going to happen. I'm like, people are going to like be drawn to this, and it's, like first it was like Yuri a couple years ago that really shocked people, but now you have multiple people that are pulling like 950 plus.
Right.
Like someone else over the weekend just pulled right around 950.
I forget his name.
That's hilarious. Even when like BarBend's not even 4 years old, and the fact that when we started out, I could name everyone in the world who could pull that weight. Now it's like, oh, someone pulled 950.
A couple years ago, it was the race to 900 in my weight, like the 220, 242. It's like, who's gonna break 900? Now it's like, now it's just like, all right, well, who's gonna be able to get into like that position on sumo and see what they can, like it's changed. There's just a bunch of guys now that can do like 950 plus or getting close to 1,000, and there's gonna be more.
Yeah. I remember, what was it? It was 3 years ago, right, David, when we first covered Cailer's like big, was it 800 or 900 pound pull? And it just like exploded. And then I feel like a couple months after, within like 6 months, we were seeing just a landslide of more and more heavy pulls.
I think it was like maybe a 900 in training off the. I don't even think it was I was like off the blocks or something like that. I don't even know if it was a full lift, and it was just like the article just went absolutely nuts. It's like, oh, here's this. A lot of comments were, and this is no disrespect to Cailer. It was, who's this skinny guy pulling 900 pounds?
Have you seen Cailer in person?
I know, I've never met him in person.
He has like a weird frame. Like he looks skinny in video, but in person he's like kind of tallish, but he has like a very broad shoulders.
Well, he's got really long,
small waist,
really long limbs. So it might look skinny like on camera, but if your arms are that long,
I mean, he isn't that heavy. He's under 220 most of the time. So, but like, just the way he's built, you're like, what? He's like a spider kind of, and you're like, what the hell? And just when you look at him, you can just like tell his hips are like very strong and solid. You know what I mean? Like he's one of those people you gotta see in person.
Yeah, it was like, okay, so this is weird. And if Cailer's watching this, he's gonna be like, dude, what the So at the 2018 Arnold, I was standing in the cage. And I remember taking a picture with Cailer. And the first thing that went through my head, I was like, this dude's lat is freaking
He's very wide.
huge.
Yeah.
I was like, holy crap. I'm like, this is like a whole nother body.
That's what happens with most deadlifters. Like bench pressers look big from the front, but deadlifters usually look kind of thin, but then their backs are just wide and thick. So busters usually have long, skinny arms. So like it gives them a thinner appearance, but they're usually pretty jacked.
Yeah, it was nuts. Oh my gosh.
I'm going out on a limb here, and I'm going to say the days of the deadlift. I think this is the last year, 2020, that we're going to be paying attention to the deadlift. I think a lot of barriers are going to break this year, and I think in the sport of strongman, I think Eddie Hall's 500 kilos is going to fall this year. I think Thor is going to lift it. I do. He's going to be attempting it a couple times this year.
I don't think so.
You don't
I've
think
trained
so?
with Thor. He's awesome. Not. He might do it on like the elephant bar or whatever, but like calibrated plates on a deadlift bar, I don't think so. That's probably like one of the craziest lifts ever. That 500 kg deadlift. That was such an insane. And he just like smoked it. I was like, what the?
Well, he almost died. To be fair, like
He had like a heart attack after.
he was bleeding from his face.
Yeah,
after.
like, oh my
so
God.
just to clarify, it smoked him. But so that's a prediction. I think the next thing we're going to see about. I feel like deadlifts have kind of had the last few years. I feel like it's going to be we're going to be focusing more on the bench, and I think a lot of that's due to Julius Maddox trying to make a run at 800, but I think there are a lot of other really good benchers out there right now, and I think that's the lift where we're going to see a lot more barriers fall over the next few years.
Possible, yeah.
Do you think Julius Maddox can hit 800 pounds this year?
I don't know. It's hard to know. I wouldn't say he can't, but I know he just hit
765. Yeah.
So.
And it looked. I wouldn't call anything like that easy because it's clearly not, but it looked smooth.
Yeah. I definitely wouldn't say he can't. And his bench is going up, so it's like I don't know when it's gonna stop. Like it might stop on the other side of 800 and it might stop on this. Like, I don't know. Who knows?
It's weird thinking that there could be a hard stop out there for a lift like that, right? It's like it keeps progressing, but is there a hard stop? Like, is there going to be a finite number that the human body is just like, nah, man, I'm not doing any more of this?
I mean, that's a great question across athletics, right?
Yeah.
Not even just strength sports. Like, how fast can someone go? You know, we saw like
I've seen Usain Bolt in person. That dude's a monster too.
what is? Yeah, I've never seen him in person.
He's like 6'5" and just like ripped and just. We see him in person, you're like, I get it. I get it. Like you just see his muscle fibers and you're like, that's like not from this planet. Like, what is this guy?
Well, people probably see you and they think the same thing. You're just 220 pounds of fast twitch muscle fiber and asthma. So people probably see you and they go, this guy, he's not from around here.
I feel like there's people who look up to me and I'm just like, no. Because I look up to people, like I look at like Zion and I'm like, all right, this dude's like 6'6" and so like sharp athletically where you can just like stop on a dime and do these moves, and also has like a 48-inch vertical and it's like 280. Like that to me is like crazy.
Yeah, but you got like a 47-inch vertical, right?
I probably used to have. I tried to figure it out when I was in high school, and I'm only like, I was like 5'10" in high school, so I'm like 5'11" now, but I used to be able to hit my head. I used to be able to brush it like right on the bottom of the backboard. So I figured my vertical was like around like 46. But again, that's at that height, which isn't as impressive as a guy with like a 48-inch vertical at like 6'6".
Well,
that's like a whole nother level.
You were also a lot lighter back
Yeah.
then. You also have a lot more weight to move right now.
Oh, right now I can't. I tried. I forgot. I measured my vertical like a year ago. I think it was like 38 or something now.
That's still insane.
That's still, yeah.
That's like upper echelon of like college basketball
if
players.
I wasn't as heavy, I mean, it would be right up in them. But, you know, there's a lot of people out there with crazy verticals, though. You'd be surprised.
So you can do you play basketball these days?
No, not now. I can't. Literally, my arm is so tight and whatnot. I can't even shoot straight. Like, look which way my hand goes in the shooting position.
Jeez.
Like, it's supposed to go like if I try to shoot, it's super awkward.
Yeah, but you're great at dishing it. You just play point and just dish out. It's just like
those
Ricky
can
Rubio
stretch.
over here, just dishing out all these assists, just like these creative passes.
I used to play, but nah, not anymore. It's one of those things where when you stop and you also add a lot of body weight, it gets very difficult to get back into.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
I don't know. I'm just curious because if anyone if you can dunk a basketball, then if I could dunk a basketball, I cannot. I'd just play basketball all the time. Like I would just post up under the rim at rec leagues and just be like, hey, pass it to me.
Nah, I used to be able to dunk, but I mean,
You probably still can't. You're still physically capable.
I'd probably hurt my knee if I really tried.
Oh, you could. Now you might not survive, but no. But if you have a 30-inch vertical,
I'd go up, but coming down,
yeah, you can
and
get up
usually
there.
when I do jumps and stuff, the hardest part's like the landing.
Uh-huh.
It's just like, oh, like my knees just aren't like they're not shock absorbers anymore. It's just when I land, it's like, oh.
Next time you want to dunk, let's do this. Like you can dunk, and then we'll have someone with a little step ladder, and you just hang off the rim for a second. Do some pull-ups, and then we'll just bring the step ladder, and you can just walk back down and prep for your next
You know
one.
what I was remembering the other day because I was watching a dunk contest. When I was in high school, I did do the Vince Carter elbow on the rim thing.
Oh, the
Not with the ball.
What is that? What is that called? That's the.
I
there's
have
a name for that.
I forgot, but I did it because I was like,
We just hang
because
from
when
your
I was
elbow.
in high school,
from
it
the
was
crook of your
like
elbow.
peak,
Yeah.
that was like peak Vince Carter time. When
That was
I was in high school.
Vinsanity.
Yeah.
Well, it's
But
still.
I remember,
He's still playing.
which is insane.
It's still Vince Carter.
I
just
don't
want
understand.
to. I want to clarify. This man is played in the league this year.
Yeah, I think he's 42. Like that's when you think about all the people he used to play with who have been retired for 10 years already, you're just like Tracy McGrady, who's an awesome NBA analyst.
Dirk was the last non-Vince Carter player from that draft class.
Probably.
I
He
think.
retired last year, right?
Yeah, I think it was
Yeah.
or maybe 2 years ago. Dirk
Wasn't
retired.
there one other guy? Was it Dirk? Who?
Anyway, his longevity is impressive no matter your sport. Yeah. This is now a Vince Carter podcast. We talk about Vince
I
Carter.
had the Shocks in high school. I love those shoes.
Oh my gosh. I think that was before my time.
That was probably before you
That
were
was
born.
that was
Jake.
2000.
I think Kevin and I are closer.
I was
Wait,
8.
Kevin, how old are you? Do you mind me asking?
33.
Okay, we're actually I'm about equidistant between you two. Then I might be closer to Kevin than I am to you.
Yeah,
I think physically I'm closer to Kevin than I am
I don't
than
know
I am
about- I
to
don't know
you,
about
Jake.
that.
just from people see us and they're like, oh, those guys look similar.
Well, yeah, and I'm
These guys
also
go to the same gym. They're clearly training
They
partners.
clearly train. Maybe second cousins, twice removed.
I mean, I have pretty curly hair, so it's possible.
Yeah, I'm growing it out. By the way, if you're not watching the video of this podcast, my hair actually extends up above the headphone bridge.
That takes
And
work.
It's eventually
gotta respect it.
going to mention. My hair is going to then meet again if it goes any longer above the hair the headphone.
Yeah, tune back in 2 months and you'll see it up here. Every day it gets stronger and bigger.
When we record remotely with people and we start, whether we're recording on Zoom or Skype or something, if we turn the video on,
They're just like, whoa.
people look at me and they're like, because it takes up so much of the screen. They're like, you good? What's going on? And strength athletes, I have to say, we record with a lot of strength athletes, researchers. They tend to be pretty put together people. I feel like that's
Strength athletes.
maybe 10 years ago, but not so much. But these days, this is the days where Taylor Atwood shows up with perfectly coiffed hair. Is that a
he's
coiffed?
He's like
Coiffed?
Mr. Wall Street.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, he's an IBM guy.
And they look at me and they're like, what is going on with you, buddy? What's
Well, you're clean shaven though.
well not yeah kind of. I don't know. I got
So
some.
it's like
I
you
got some,
definitely live somewhere.
I do live. Thanks, Kevin. This has really pumped me up in a big way. Back to powerlifting. What do you think? What do you think? What changes do you think powerlifting is going to go through over the next few years? As a sport, could be at the federation level, could be at the sport level, community level, what have you.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like Sorry. I feel like it has grown a lot. I don't know if it's going to continue to grow that much, but it could, which would be awesome. I see USAPL, IPF getting bigger and bigger and bigger just because it's kind of like the easiest to like the normal person who just starts lifting. That's like the easiest, like, I just work out at a regular gym, use regular bars, like nothing crazy. I don't have to learn how to use a mono and stuff. You know what I mean? So I see USAPL and IPF to definitely continue growing in popularity. Like non-tested will probably keep growing because I think people in general are just going to keep kind of flooding into the sport. But I don't know. I don't really know in terms of like, I definitely think we're going to see numbers just keep going up as the talent pool just keeps increasing. You're constantly seeing on Instagram, PR, everything's about PRing and, so we're just going to continue to see world records broken over and over unless you really get some people who come into certain weight classes that really just like up it a lot. But I think we're going to continue to see growth. We're going to continue to see world records broken, continue to see more meets. We got like the Sheffield meet coming up on the IPF side. So I think a lot of people are going to be interested to see how that goes. Because that's like finally kind of money being put out on that side, on the tested side. So that's probably going to be like a huge thing on that side just to see like people get money or whatever, like maybe more sponsorships, like whatever. But that'll probably be huge on that side. But I don't know. Hopefully more money meets. But I don't expect to see anything like crazy happen. Like, I don't know.
I was going to actually ask, who do you have on winning the Sheffield meet?
I don't know. Because this is one of the things I hate with powerlifting is like IPF points and Wilks.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't understand. Like when you watch UFC night, there's what, like 5 cards, maybe 5 fights. At the end of the night, they're not like, all right, well, now we go the formula and we're going to pick who the best fighter overall is. It's like, no, like this person won that weight class. This person won that weight class. To me, they should just, when they do money meets, they should just split the money across weight classes maybe, because I think Wilks and IPF points is just like, it's a random formula.
Yeah.
And they can just change it. Like next week I can change the I'll be like, oh, we're using this formula now, so now this person's not the best, this person's the best. And it's like, but nothing changed. So how does that work,
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't care. I think IPF points kind of helps like the lighter lifters now, right? So it's probably gonna be like a 74 or an 83 kg, right? Like one light, like I don't know. Doesn't really matter.
It's kind of like whose line is it anyway? Where the old adage was like, where everything's made up and the points don't matter.
Yeah.
If anyone watched that show, if you could add, this is a dumb question.
I remember it like 20 years ago. Drew Carey.
Right? Drew Carey, yeah.
Yeah.
That was before your time, Jake.
First off, I used to watch Whose Line Is It Anyway? So
There's some drama.
Colin?
There's drama with Drew Carey right now. Is it there?
Oh no.
Like his ex,
His
died or
ex fiance
something?
was
murdered?
Yeah, it's actually quite a.
There's like crazy drama.
This is not a true crime podcast. That's going to be. We're going to release the BarBend True Crime podcast a few months from now. It's going to be hosted by Jake, and he's just going to be scared all the time.
Great. Sick. Write that in the contract.
Kevin, where is the best place for folks to keep up to date with what you're doing, training, competition, coaching, all that good stuff?
Try drewcarey.com. No, for me, mostly Instagram. I do YouTube sometimes, but usually closer to meets. So Instagram at Oak Strong. I also own Barbell Commission Apparel, so check that out at barbellcommissionapparel.com. Also their Instagram, Barbell Commission, but that's about it. For coaching, just DM me or email growoakstrong@gmail.com.
And listeners, as always, we will drop links down below in the description of this video and within the article where we do the transcript.
Thanks for joining us, Kevin. Really appreciate it.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Kevin.
guys.